For my project, I chose to remake a module that I was using in an online class that I teach called Foundations of Chemistry. So this is what the old module looks like. My modules are set up so that the students can go through and click on these in any order. Ideally, this is not the first module that they've done, so they're supposed to click on the directions first, but they wouldn't always do that. Sometimes they would only do the things that had due dates assigned to them. So this is the new module that I made. And what I did was separate that unit into two parts. This would be the first part, which is just chemical reactions. And I put a requirement that they have to complete all items and they have to complete them in order. I also separated out that one page into individual pages because I felt it would be easier for the students to navigate the module. So they'll click on the objectives first. They have to go through these in order. They'll read those. And then next they'll come to the page where there's the knowledge check. And this is the video knowledge check I was talking about in a lot of my previous posts and assignments, where I recorded my PowerPoints and then I put a quiz in them. I embedded a quiz. And so questions will pop up and students can answer them. They also have the ability to rewatch the section before if they're not sure what the answer is, or they can take the whole thing. They can watch the whole knowledge check, and then they have the ability to take it over again. So that's the knowledge check. There's also another video in here on balancing equations. I use a program called Show Me, where I can write different equations, or I can use my iPad as a whiteboard, and that way I can demonstrate how to balance equations. So that is, oops, sorry, did not mean to click back there. So that's the old one. Here's the new one. And then there are the links to the book. We use an open educational resource, and the rest of the things that they should do. For my next page, this is brand new. I put in an additional resources page for students who might need some extra help. Maybe they didn't quite understand me giving them examples or going through the PowerPoint. So I included a link to a tutorial in one of our textbooks. And so they can click on here, and it's almost like a game that they can play. It'll give them reactions that they can balance. Oops. And they can get immediate feedback on that. And then I also embedded some YouTube videos that go over balancing equations, and one that goes over precipitation reactions and net ionic equations. So they would have the option to watch these if they felt like they needed an additional explanation. And then when they finished all of that and they felt like they understood everything and were ready for the assessment, they would take the quiz. So I did make some significant changes to the quiz, not so much to the questions, but to the way that they were presented. So these first couple questions are just on balancing equations. Those are pretty straightforward. But then I wanted to try to make the quizzes a little bit more interesting and maybe a little bit more interactive. So I actually included some diagrams of the reactions that I was talking about. Since this is an online class, it doesn't have a lab, and they don't have the opportunity to ever do any of these in class, so it gives them just an idea of what some of these reactions look like. So I did that for the ones where they had to tell me what type of reaction it was. And then I actually included a link to a video so they can watch a double replacement reaction taking place, and then they can answer questions about that.
In the double displacement reaction of barium chloride
and
and sodium
is
sulfate,
the whole quiz.
we start out with a colorless solution of
So
sodium
let me
sulfate.
go back to
When we add barium chloride to it, we get the rapid formation of a white precipitate of barium sulfate.
I want that to stop. So that was the new module that I made. My students haven't had a chance to do this yet. I chose this module because I had been using ideas from it and talking about it the entire class. So I wanted to make some modifications to it, using some of the things that we learned thus far in this class, and using some of the Canvas features in a way that I never had before. So overall, I was happy with the way that the modification turned out, and I'm excited to see how my students feel about it when they go to use it next semester.